Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. We've made it all the way to the end of July. It's July 29th is the week we're talking about this time around. So let's start in the morning. We've been looking at the planets in the morning sky, and let's start back there and say, okay, we've been watching Mars close on Jupiter, and we're talking about the evening of the 29th, the morning of the 30th. So really the morning of the 30th, this region of the sky is going to rise about 1 o'clock or a little bit after 1 o'clock in the morning. So we're talking about early in the morning, late at night, 29th into the 30th. Mars is going to be about 7 3/4 degrees to the west of Jupiter. And it's been closing on Jupiter. We told you last week, keep an eye on it because it's going to make a great pairing here coming up. By the end of the week, by the time we're doing this next week, there'll only be about 4.5 degrees separating. Your finger at arm's length is 1 degree. And so there's only going to be about 4.5 degrees separating these two bright planets, the nice red Mars and the sort of white-looking Jupiter there. So that gap really gets cut, not quite in half, but almost in half this week. And it's going to be even more next week as it slices down. But the thing we're looking for this morning, on the morning of the 30th, is the moon is going to be sitting there right with them, and the moon's a quarter full. This is as good as it gets. We got these two bright planets right next to each other, and just sitting above Mars is the quarter full moon. And if you want to turn it into a four-sided figure, a diamond shape like that, the Pleiades star cluster is out about the same direction off to the west. And so you've got this beautiful setup of a 25% full moon. It's not enough moon to wash out the Pleiades, so you can still see the Pleiades star cluster. You got Mars, you got Jupiter. Keep an eye on Mars and Jupiter. Mars is going to keep closing that gap. Now, just one night later, the moon is a little bit less than a quarter full here, and it will have dropped to something like 15% full the next night, and it's going to be sitting right next to the bright star Elnath in the horns of the bull. So out in the tip of the bull's horns there, you've got Elnath and the crescent moon, beautiful crescent moon. That's going to be a fabulous pairing the next morning, maybe more like 2 o'clock. You want to be up to watch this now, and we can use this. So by the next night, let's just go ahead and track it. By the next night, this moon will have faded away to less than 10% full. It will be a very slender crescent and about as thin as it's easy to see. And it will be all the way over in Gemini. And Gemini we think of as a winter and late winter constellation. We talk about it all the time in this video series, how surprising it is, how much of the sky you can see due to our combined orbit, which is, the orbit carries us around, and this is the sun, this is the earth, and the side that's facing away from the sun we call night, right? That makes sense to us. So we call that night, and that changes as we move around. But because we rotate at the same time, we see a much wider swath of sky than we're accustomed to thinking about, and it's fun to watch that. So Gemini, this sort of classic late winter into spring constellation. Here we are, headed to fall, headed into August, late summer, thinking about fall ahead. And there it is. The moon's going to be sitting here on the morning of the 1st of August in Gemini, in the constellation Gemini. On the morning of the 31st, before that, it's right next to Elnath, 6 1/4 degrees. Remember, finger is about a degree at arm's length. And so about 6 1/4 degrees south of there is the bright supernova remnant, the Crab Nebula M1 in Taurus, the bull here. And this is the star that blew up in the year 1054. You got a small telescope. It's worth checking this out. This is as good as it gets as a supernova remnant. So this star was observed bright in the daytime. Observers in China saw this star like you'd see Venus, before sunset and after sunrise, glowing in the sky. You could see the explosion here in the year 1054, and you could still see the remnants of the knot of gas that's expanding away from there. So that's that explosion. It's worth checking out. If you go about 11 degrees, about twice that far on off to the east, you got M35, a beautiful glittering star cluster, and that's in Gemini. So here we are talking about Taurus and Gemini, our late winter constellations that we like to look at. So you ask the question, if these are late winter constellations, that's when they're high in the sky. These are off in the east. You just got a little bit of time before sunrise to check this out. And you're looking through more atmosphere. Is this the best time of year to observe these? Of course this isn't the best time of year to observe these. They're going to be high in the sky in wintertime, and that's why we think of them as wintertime objects. But of course it is also the best time of year to observe them because you can. And you can think, wow, it's July and August, and I'm observing a beautiful object, a beautiful glittering open star cluster in Gemini, and this wonderful supernova remnant. So you got a dark sky in the morning before sunrise. You can't let the sunrise start to come and blow this up, or you won't be able to see it. But you can see the Crab Nebula right there. So of course you want to go out and look at this, and this is a great time to observe this. So that's what we've got with Mars still closing on Jupiter, and starting the week with the moon making a fabulous, fabulous contribution to this, and then the moon going on to make a pairing with the bright star Elnath and guiding us to the Crab Nebula and open star cluster M35. Now, we've been tracking Saturn also. Saturn now rises 10 o'clock, 10:30. By 11 o'clock, it's up in the sky probably, wherever you are. And so Saturn here, we last week we said we've been tracking it relative to Phi Aquarii, and maybe we should have been tracking it relative to Chi Aquarii. So we got these two relatively faint stars here, but visible stars. Binoculars help a lot. This is a tight region of the sky that we have drawn. Not like this. This is tighter than that we have drawn over here. Only less than a couple of degrees separate Phi and Chi. So a couple of finger widths from Phi to Chi down there. And Saturn makes this nice little triangle with Phi and Chi right there this week. But we're going to use it to say if this isn't challenging enough, if you've got your telescope and you're like, well, give us something challenging to look at with the telescope instead of the Pleiades and instead of M35, instead of the Crab Nebula, let's go down here to Chi and say, as we look off, if we draw the line from Saturn to Chi Aquarii, about a third of the way, between a quarter and a third of the way up that line, and just off that line to the east, we're going to find NGC 7600, which is an elliptical galaxy. Remember, galaxies come in two broad types. There are other types, but most galaxies are one of two types that you would look at and see. It's an elliptical galaxy. A smooth appearance across the face, no dust and gas, no collapsing, no condensation into a disk like a spiral galaxy would have. Drop just over a degree to the south of there, and you've got NGC 7606, which is a nice spiral galaxy. These are not bright objects. These are not big objects. These are going to take a little bit of patience and a little bit of work with your telescope to poke around in this region. Now, there's a lot of other galaxies in this region. There's a really faint galaxy right in the middle, NGC 7592, I don't remember. But you've got another galaxy right in the middle of that triangle here that's even fainter. We picked these two because they're brighter, they're easier to see, but that does not mean that they're easy to see by any stretch. This is an observing challenge for those of you who want an observing challenge to go out. You got your telescope and you're looking for something to do. Find Saturn, enjoy Saturn, look at Titan, its bright moon, and enjoy the rings, and then drop south from there and see what you can do about NGC 7600, an elliptical galaxy free of dust and gas, and NGC 7606, a spiral galaxy with the flattened disk, lots of dust and gas, star formation going on. So good examples of galaxies right there, but challenging examples of galaxies. So that's what we got for you this week. Hope you have a great week, everyone, and as always, thanks for watching.